believe that's that. Is that up? I believe that's that. All right. Make sure I'm not doubled up. Let's try this. A couple people that'll be checking this out. Please make sure it's clear and shit. Please make sure it's right. I don't know who that is. It just crept in. I appreciate you. That could just be me. I don't know. I think I might have YouTube up on my phone. It might just be me in here. But anyway, I think I got it. I think
ancestors come from the.
Oh, we can't have that. We will get to that mess. Oh boy. I tell you, people just they stay coming at us. And it's so unfortunate.
Ancestors come from the.
Okay. I see the way that's gonna work. Okay, I got it. I got it. So if I'm on YouTube, I'm on YouTube. If I'm not, I'm at least zooming it. And I attempted to do the live, just trying to get some different things happening tonight. Hopefully the audio is clear. The video doesn't necessarily need to be clear, other than the fact that I'm doing it. I really don't want to do a blurry ass video, a fucked up video, but you know, my audio really means a lot more to me. If you know anything about me, if you've ever watched one of these, it's all about the audio for me, you know. So I definitely want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing by the audio. And I called this dose, you know, if you know anything about the BlackWatch, you know, I give doses, and these are doses of reality, doses of truth, never doses of fallacy. You know, I mean, anything that I might regurgitate that's not true, it's obviously out of my ignorance. I definitely don't put that type of shit out there, put that energy out there. So it's one of those things. But what I'm doing now, where I'm at now is I'm trying to get to just the next stage, you know, with some different things and doing some different things with this. And, you know, I see brothers out here who are doing ridiculous work. I mean, they're doing crazy work, and they can't seem to get the love, you know, and I've talked about it, you know, the lack of support for some real shit, you know, and it's unfortunate that we have such a lack of support for one another. I don't know why that is. I guess it is what it is, but I don't know why that is. Hold on one second. I'm trying to make sure. Okay. So, what I'm all about is I want to see everybody win, you know, and it looks fucked up. I just left a video about it. You know, I move different out here. I move different because I do want to see people win. Even when, you know, they may not necessarily want to see me win, but I want to see people win. So the way I see that is I don't give a fuck what they think about me. I know I want to see everybody win. Now, if a motherfucker crosses me, let me get this straight. And this is just for some first people. Most people that have seen my videos before, they know how I give a fuck and how I don't give a fuck. So if a motherfucker crosses me, I absolutely am not going to be sitting there like some simp ass motherfucker, and I'm going to be rooting for him. How can you root for a motherfucker who's praying for your downfall? I don't do that. Not going to do that. So where I'm at now is I'm looking at seeing some Black unity, seeing some galvanizing of Black Americans, people of African descent. We've got enough people against us, and I'm not sure exactly why we don't look at it for what it is and say, you know what, if we don't band together to try to put shit right, politically, we don't even matter. I mean, I'm not sure exactly why people would think that we can move individually, politically. We've got to unify politically before we go putting, you know, some type of case, staking some type of claim with the government. If we're not unified, that's easy for them to knock us down. The country, the government has had the worst time with Black Americans when they've been unified. They've had the easiest time with Black Americans when they've been divided. I'm not sure exactly why I needed to state that, because who the fuck am I? I got about 350 subscribers, probably 50 trolls. I don't believe I have the subscribers I have. I don't have that many, but I don't even think I have all those. But it doesn't matter. What I think, what I know is we don't go any fucking place unless we are unified. So that's really where I am now. Now, as far as that goes, then I'm looking at, say, the future of where I'm at. The future of what I'm looking towards is to put things together politically, to see things happen on a political stance. I hear all this babble out here about do for self, do for self, do for self, do for self from a whole bunch of fucking paycheck grabbing motherfuckers, a whole bunch of motherfuckers who are watching their accounts every day, hoping that stimmy is there. I mean, all these do for selfers out here waiting for that stimulus check. If you do it for self, what you doing waiting for that check? That's all I got to say. I just want to know if you really doing for self, what you waiting for that check for. And more so, all the Republicans who didn't fucking vote for this shit, that means your people didn't vote for this shit. Why are y'all waiting for a check? I want all Republicans who are just totally against Democrats. I want all Republicans sending y'all stimulus money back too. Y'all shouldn't accept that stimulus money. That's Democratic stimulus money. Not one Republican supported that. So that means everybody that voted for Donald Trump as a Republican, don't accept that stimulus check, motherfucker. You don't get that check because you're a Republican and you weren't a part of this stimulus bill. Y'all chose to sit this bitch out. Y'all chose to sit the whole process out. Not one Republican sided with this COVID bill. So that means no Republican citizen should get a check. And then you can go back to your Republicans who was against this shit and be like, what the fuck, dude? What the fuck? See, that's the way that shit should work. If your people who you voted in office didn't vote for this shit, that means they weren't looking out for their constituents. That means you don't get shit. If they don't make a provision for you to eat, how you gonna eat? See, that's what's fucked up about this country. A motherfucker will vote one way. His person will totally go against everything that's in their best interest, but they still get to eat. You voted that motherfucker in who voted against your best interest. You don't get to eat. They shouldn't get to eat. But see, that's not the way it works. That's not the way it works. See, Republicans gonna get stimulus checks, and they voted against Joe Biden. Not saying that it was necessary to vote for Joe Biden, because enough black people voted for Joe Biden and got him in the office. They didn't need no more of y'all white votes. So it's okay y'all didn't vote for Joe Biden. But y'all gonna take that stimulus check? How you gonna take that stimulus check when you know you voted for that motherfucker Trump? How do I forget his name? I just want to know. And I want to know any Republican that you rep, that you put in office, that voted against this stimulus bill. He voted against your best interest, knowing goddamn well you needed this money. How you going to accept that check? And how is he going to let you accept that check? How is she going to let you accept? Because there's a few women in there voted against it. Every single one of them. Y'all shouldn't be eating on this stimmy. No, y'all should be getting no more of this stimmy. Nope, not one of y'all people. I'm just saying. Let's see here. So yeah, I wanted to talk about Black liberation. And since it's see, I don't know. I've been saying Happy Women's Month like it's Women's Month, not like, so it's Women's History Month, I guess. I've come to hear. It's Women's History Month. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't any women's history out here. It's actually showing that I'm up. I'm not saying that there's no women's history that's not being made here, but I've been going back and getting some of our ancestors, some of the great warriors of African descent, and speaking on them and speaking on the things that they speak about. So what I'm going to talk to myself about tonight, because I'm told that I love talking to myself. So I'm going to talk to myself tonight. And there's nobody else in here anyway, so I'm talking to myself anyway, so it doesn't really matter. About Betty Shabazz. Betty Shabazz, you know, it's Betty Shabazz or Betty Shabazz. And I don't know. Potato, potato. I don't know. So it depends on who you're talking to. Depends on who's talking to you. Betty Shabazz, Betty Shabazz. What I did hear in this video, and you'll hear the audio, it was actually all audio. It wasn't a video still. He kept saying Betty Shabazz. And the way he said it, it sounded like he was saying Chavez, as if she was what we would call Latino now. We would call them Hispanics before, but we call them Latinos now. I know some people want to be called Latinx. I don't know exactly what that is. I don't think they'd have been called Latinx. I don't think they were Latino Muslims. So that's the only way I'm going to call a motherfucker Latinx, is if I know you don't eat pork and you say assalamu alaikum, amigo. I don't know. So it is what it is. So what I'm doing now is I'm making sure, got this audio. Hold on a sec. Yep, that audio's got to get right. So make sure this is good. Yep. Let's see. Okay, yep, that works. All right. So in talking about Betty Shabazz, you know, Black liberation obviously is what I talk about. I talk about white supremacy, which is a great inhibitor to Black liberation. I talk about white supremacy, talk about bigotry, it's racism. But Betty Shabazz was always right in line, right in sync with Brother Malcolm. And you know, she was one that she went down, you know, in history as one of the greatest Black women ever. You know, actually grew up in Detroit. A lot of people don't know that. She grew up in Detroit, grew up in a group home, you know, grew up in a very protected setting. They tried to shield her from racism. And then she went south and went to school and was like, oh, that's what y'all tried to, you know, hide from me. Yeah. Came back, went to New York, and yeah, so she understood at an early age what the shit was about, like, you know, when she went to college or whatever. But she was always 10 toes down for Malcolm. She was always 10 toes down for Black people. And one of the things that, hold on a second. One of the things that I've always tried to pick apart from the things that she said, because she said so many things that were right there mirrored with what Malcolm said. The great thing was she also had her own insight into it, and she truly spoke from a woman's perspective. She wasn't just mirroring Malcolm's words. She was living out some shit. So yeah, I took some excerpts from an interview that she had, and it was crazy because I learned some things about civil rights. You know, in the 60s, I learned some things about the march and how that, you know, got funded and who came up on that. It was some crazy shit, you know, what she thought of the bourgeoisie motherfuckers. You know, what she thought about men and women in the family structure and the breaking down of the family structure, because the meeting actually happened after Malcolm had died. It was like 1970, the year I was born. And, you know, I was in the midst of that. You know, I was in the midst of a Black family where the woman was taking care of the kid and the father's away and da-da-da-da. I was living all the shit that she was talking about, you know. So we're going to get into some of that. So the big thing for me is just to make sure, and I don't know exactly what's happening here. Hold on 1 second. Yeah. So if you're looking at what's going on, because I don't see a lot politically really happening out here. I didn't listen to the address, the presidential address. I don't see what he had in there for us. I didn't hear about anything he had in there for us, and didn't see anybody reporting on it afterwards. He's not speaking about reparations. He's not speaking about a Black agenda. He's not even speaking about Lift Every Voice. If you notice how Lift Every Voice has basically gone nowhere. Ever since he's got in the office, where's Lift Every Voice been? Lift Every Voice is it's obsolete now, man. He's in the office. He doesn't even need to talk on it anymore. They made that shit up to get enough Black people warm and fuzzy. And he literally put nothing behind it. And I get it. It's okay. At this point, I totally get it. What I don't understand is, why did we think it was going to be anything different? Why did we think it was going to be anything new from a man who's basically ignored or abused Black Americans since he's been in politics? That's the crazy thing. It's like he didn't do anything different than he's ever done, and we thought he was going to be different. He didn't say anything different than he's ever said, and we thought he was going to be different. And now he's in office, and he's not doing anything different than he's ever done, and we want different. I mean, it is what it is. He's in there now. What you gonna do? He's in there now, right? So I didn't watch that. I'll watch it. I mean, I guess I deserve to pick it apart, just like everybody else is gonna eventually, probably. I just don't. I don't feel the need to speak on him pretty much every move he makes, because he's not making any moves for us, towards us, you know, and he's doing everything he can to flatten us. Why do I need to keep bringing him up? It doesn't serve me at all to keep bringing him up. So yeah, so really what I want to do is I want to get into Betty Shabazz. And you know, the thing that was enlightening to me, I never heard of the Big Six. Okay, I never heard of the Big Six, and she explained it a lot. And I'll put it in the final editing of this video. I'll put the link in there, and you can listen to her talk. You know, without, you know, I cut out the good parts. I cut out all the good parts. It's really not that long, but you know, we'll get into, let me see how much Betty we got tonight. There's 1, there's 3, there's 5:30, there's 8. We got 9 minutes of Betty. So you got 9 minutes of Betty, and then however many minutes I need to weave Betty in and out. So we're gonna start out because I want to learn more about the Big Six going forward. But I'm gonna start out with her talking about what the Big Six was. Some of y'all know, a lot of y'all may know, whoever watches this video. I didn't know. I didn't know that this was like some inner workings of some shit. So I want to hit this up, and we should be ready to go.
Because at this point, the Black masses across the country had begun to take to the streets. There were riots, there were bombings, and the government admitted that it was afraid. Their propaganda was set into focus, and they were encouraging Black people to follow responsible leadership. Responsible meaning having those Negro leaders who had some responsibility to the government. So what happened? This grassroots fraction decided that they would march on Washington. It was going to tie up the Congress, the Senate, the White House, and even the airports. they threatened to bring the government to a halt. They tried to stop it, and the more they tried to stop it, it grew. So they decided to join it and control it. And they called the civil rights leaders that was leading it the Big Six.
Some shit I just didn't know, man. I mean, I didn't know. So there was like an inner circle. You know, there was an inner circle to the civil rights movement, and they basically handled all the nuts and bolts of shit. And they said there was 4 liberals that they had put in there. So I guess, you know, the way it all works out, I guess that'd be 10 individuals that was really controlling shit. There was the Big Six, and then there was 4 liberals. It's the way I'm seeing it, the way I'm hearing it. Unless there was 4 liberals and 2 other people, and I don't think it was that. I think it was 6 people. Because as you heard Sister Betty say, they was planning to basically take over. We've had some shit like that recently, right? The seizing of the Capitol building. I mean, they weren't talking about doing no radical shit. They weren't talking about shitting in the hallways and in people's offices and shit like that. But they were talking about doing some shutting down. I mean, they only had a few thousand at the Capitol building, but they were talking about bringing damn near 1 million people. It was a lot of people that was coming. A lot of people that came. And they were like, the only way we're going to let them do this is if we control it. And the only way we can control it, can't beat them, join them. So them motherfuckers basically compromised the civil rights movement. Sounds like some Black Lives Matter shit. COINTELPRO shit. I mean, it's just they infiltrate. Black people's biggest problem in America is integration. Not because Black and white people shouldn't be together. We lose our fervor when we integrate. It's a proven scientific fact. We lose our fervor. And it's unfortunate that we do lose our fervor, because at some point, oops, that was from Atiana Jefferson. At some point, there we go, we have to say, look, and I'm just going to keep me up in the corner because we're going to get back to Sister Betty in a second, because she's going to tell us what the whole goals of the Big Six were. But we have to keep the same fever pitch on shit, which we don't do. We don't do. What we do is we get in and we get comfortable. We don't get in and get rolling. We get in and we get comfortable. This is what I'm talking about as a whole people. Individual motherfuckers move the way individual motherfuckers do. But as a whole people, once we got all that civil rights shit in the 60s settled, the 70s, man, where do we go? The 80s, where did we go? The 90s? Come on, man. We tried to stand up. Well, hell, we had let 2 decades get between that in the damn 90s. We started getting cleaned up on shit. They hit us with the dope, the 70s and 80s, and in the 90s, when we started coming up out of shit, start trying to do some do-for-self shit. But we didn't have that same mind state as people had in the 60s before they were compromised. But Sister Betty talked about them being joined up. Today they use the word co-opted. They were co-opted. People jumped in. People jumped in on their mission, on their movement. And the only way you really do that is with money. You don't get in on somebody's movement. You don't hone in on somebody's life mission. If it is their life mission, money won't just rule them. You got to be about the cause. So they showed that they were about the cause, but then what really put the frosting on top was the money. They gave them money. They gave them money.
One of the first duties of the Big Six was to invite 4 liberals to join them.
6 plus 4.
And these 4 liberals dictated the policy. According to the August 4th edition of the New York Times, $800,000 was split between the Big Six.
800,000. You got to understand, this is in the 60s. $800,000 split between 6 individuals. The 4 liberals didn't need the money. They already had bread. The 4 liberals are white, so they don't need money. You understand? They don't need money. They got the money. They're part of the money structure. But the Big Six, they had little bucks. So 800,000 split between 6 ways was a come up.
On June 19th, if everything went according to plan and if there were no incident, they were to get the additional $700,000.
$1.5 million split between 6 people. $1.5 million split between 6 people. I'm a numbers freak. Nah, 250,000 in the 60s just to hold your own and let these 4 liberals really control the civil rights movement, because you don't really control shit anymore now that we've given you this money. So you take this money, let them run the civil rights movement, and you sit back and you shut the fuck up until you called on.
This was for the March on Washington. Their main reason was to control and to direct the mood of the march. I'm not saying that the march was not glorious, that it was not impressive. I'm saying that it was changed from its original intent.
See, Sister Betty said shit unapologetically. She said shit the way people should hear it. She wasn't all crazy. You know, you didn't see none of the wives like that. Myrlie Evers, Coretta Scott King, Betty Shabazz, they weren't all them hollering and screaming and this, that, and the other. It wasn't about that. They kept their calm. They kept their peace. And I've always respected that. But there was something to be said about that type of calm when you fucking murdered her husband. All 3 of them. All 3 of them. All 3 of their husbands had government ties to their killings. I know they're going to say Byron D. LeBeck with whatever wasn't part of the motherfucker. He was in the Klan. He was part of the government. Shit. They're facilitated. They're enabled. Fuck it, they're helped. They are part of the government. Shit. I ain't got to fucking, use kid gloves on this one. Motherfucking presidents have been sworn in the fucking green room at the White House into the Klan. The fuck out of here. So yeah. So you can see the civil rights movement was basically fucked from the beginning because it didn't really have any resources. And by the time it did get the momentum and it did get the resources, where did the resources come from? They came from the government. Co-opted, marginalized. You took the money. You took the money. Once you take the money, man. So they have the march. And Betty talked about what she felt the marches accomplished. It's kind of synonymous about what I think marches accomplish. But Betty didn't cuss. I cuss. I get it. Some people don't like it because I cuss. Some people don't like it because I smoke. But the message is fucking clear as day. Don't let all them extenuating circumstances fuck you up. My message is crystal clear. So is Sister Betty's.
The marchers were told what time to arrive, how they were to arrive, what songs to sing, what banners to hold up, what time to leave. And everyone left was gone by sundown. I remember on the television screen seeing the cleaners, the sweepers out cleaning the streets. Look at all of that money that was spent to contain and not really to get at the root of the problem. Because when it was all over, there were still people without jobs, still children without proper schools, still people starving. Conditions had not changed. Why couldn't they spend this money to help root out the problem that caused the frustration in the beginning? Some are even wondering, is a solution really wanted? The confusion and the conflict that's going on in the world, is it really wanted? Is a solution really wanted? Black people are used as a political football by every party, and yet our problem after 500 years have not changed.
I mean, that was 1970. That was the year I was born. And you can put that shit in today's setting and it still rings out. That's fucked up. I mean, this is 51 years after she said this shit. And you look at what was just said, and it is a mirroring image of it's just crazy to me that people won't fight for repair. People won't fight for true restorative justice, but we'll march and we'll sing and we'll dance and we'll wear the same t-shirts and we'll hug and we'll cry and we'll laugh and we'll pray, and won't a motherfucking thing happen with none of that. You got politicians out there and they still won't push paper for you. You get the politicians who are going to push paper for you. They're going to talk to their friends and their friends are going to talk to their friends, and you put pressure on them. You don't bring them out there to sing and dance with you. Politicians don't respond to fucking applause and hugs and handshakes. They respond to pressure. Pressure busts pipes, not applause. My brother OG, appreciate you. Not applause. Applause don't get you shit. Well, maybe a little bit more performing. They'll give you an encore if you clap loud enough. But an encore of what? An encore of some shit that you need done, or just an encore for some more shit for somebody else? What y'all need them to say the same thing over for? What you need them to come back out on the stage for? They come back out on the stage, they got to come with a new plan, but they ain't gonna come with a new plan if it's the same show. Now you got to go get your new show together. You can't come out here with the same show. That's played out. That don't work no more. That's played out, homie. Don't keep coming with that same show, Joe. You got to mix it up a little bit. Remember when Michael wouldn't perform with his brothers and shit? The Jacksons had to come up with a whole new show. Hell, they had to come up with a new show when Jermaine left the group. They came up with a new show when Janet and Randy joined the group. They had to come up with a whole new show. They couldn't run the same show. You got to come up with a new show. And the Democrats ain't came up with a new show, but the black folks ain't came up with a new show either. So right now, we got two motherfuckers who's no showing on their shows. You have people who don't seem to understand that black people hate the conditions that they're in. They do. They hate the conditions that they're in. But we don't hate the conditions that we're in enough collectively to come together. We need a certain amount of people to come together to see eye to eye that this is something that needs to happen, and then we move forward. We can't move forward individually. We can't move forward with pockets of people. I'm trying to tell you, it doesn't work that way. It only works one way. And that way is if you and you and you and you, it ain't in here. I ain't got thousands of people watching my video right now. So it ain't you, but maybe it's you who's gonna watch this video, and maybe a person you know, and then somebody you know, they got to get together. And this is why I tell people right now, black people got to be on the front line of their own shit. As soon as you let somebody else get on the front line, all these motherfucking protests, they're not really protests. Marches, not really marches. A whole lot of that walking I seen this weekend for Breonna and George Floyd, all that walking, all that cardio. Where the black folks at? I saw all kinds of marching, chanting, and all kinds of shit. But I didn't see a whole lot of black folks. I saw sprinkles. See, it was salt. And I saw sprinkles of pepper. And I was like, well, damn. Black Lives Matter? To who? Y'all out here with Black Lives Matter banners? Y'all still supporting the Black Lives Matter movement who doesn't support Black lives. But you supporting them, you carrying a banner and shit. Y'all ain't even come up with your own name, knowing that Black Lives Matter done fuck Black America, but you still carrying this. See, that's why I said you can't be an ally if you side with people who are against my people. We can't be friends if you align with motherfuckers who are harming me. I'm not just talking about our ancestors, because then that's on some shit. Oh, we can't talk to white people because white people owned us. No. My next door neighbor, I don't know what the true origin of his family. So I don't know if his family owned my family. So I really can't be upset. I'm upset that his family owned anybody. But I can't be upset at him individually. I don't have an axe to grind with him individually. But I do have an axe to grind with the history. But where we are now, the way y'all do shit, y'all don't align with a motherfucker and will still fuck with him. That's what I've had to learn most recently. I don't align with you. I got to go, homie. I can't fuck with you no more. If I don't align with you, That means you don't align with me. And if you don't align with me, that means we don't align with each other. That means I got to move the fuck on. No hard feelings. It's all good. It's just bad for each other's spirit, whether we know it or not, because it might be some superficial shit. So we really don't think about it a lot, but deep down inside, it's bad for our spirit to be fucking with people that we really don't fuck with. So you just move on, man. You got to learn that shit. I'm 51. I'm still learning that shit. Sometimes you just got to move on from motherfuckers, man. That's all that's about. You just got to move on, and you ain't even got to say shit. You just got to move the fuck on, man. Just got to move the fuck on, man. Real shit. So hating the conditions that we're in, we got to hate them enough to want to get out. And the only way that we're going to fucking get out is to bond together, is to galvanize, is to codify, is to unify. And we've got the percentage of people that want to unify, and then we got the percentage of people that don't want to unify, and then we got the percentage of people that don't know how to unify, then we got the percentage of people that don't need to unify. See, I don't fuck with all them percentages right now. I'm not your daddy guy. But I can tell you, we have pockets of people for different reasons. They're not here. Not just on this video, because most aren't going to be here. But why ain't they with us collectively? And Betty talked about that.
Even though the lot of the vast majority of Black citizens in this country is poor, there are still a number of Black Americans who have been able to make it in the white system. Betty Shabazz describes how these people are the only Blacks who really hate themselves.
Some years back, I believe they said it was about 8 million potential Negro voters in this country, or Black voters in this country. And of those 11 million potential voters, only 3 million voted. What happened to the other 8 million? The 3 million is supposed to be the bourgeois, but we find that they are a minority. And they have not communicated the desires and needs of the people, but they have communicated their own. Someone said that they didn't realize that in the ghetto or among poor people, there was so much hate and confusion that the people actually hated themselves. I think perhaps there's more love in the ghetto than there is any place else in America. Black people love themselves. Some Black people. A lot of times people take complaining about our plight, our miserable condition, our lack of jobs, our increased medical problems, our increased disease. They take this as, and when Black people complain, they take this as hating themselves. Black people hate the conditions, but few Black people hate themselves unless it is part of that 3 million minority.
You know, and Betty broke the numbers down, and I think, you know, what she was saying was 11 million of us, and it was 3 million that was out of pocket, 8 million was down. I think that's the way the numbers kind of broke out. The way she said it, it was like, it was 8 million, and then out of that was 3 million, but I think it was really 11 million, and only 8 million was together, and the 3 million was out of pocket. So the numbers, the way the numbers broke down, it sounded more appropriate to what I've heard as far as the numbers around that time, Black Americans. So if you have, I mean, think about it. If you have 20% of your people that are just flat out not pulling for you, you need all the numbers for everybody that is in sync. These are 20% that's just not going to do anything for you. Very well to do, got generational wealth, got all types of shit, not worrying about anything. Okay? You got all them, because we're encompassing all Black Americans now. We're encompassing everybody, even ones that are not descendants of freedmen, because they're all clumped into this fucking number now. They're all clumped into this number, and we know pretty much how many Black Americans, Native Black Americans, Americans of African descent, however you want to look at them. I know some of y'all are gonna say African American because that's what y'all do, but I can't do African American. I'm an American, but I'm not an African. I'm maybe of African descent, but I can't be from Africa. And be African American is a Nigerian, is a Ghanaian, Somalian. What do you call them? You know, Egyptian, whatever. Those are African Americans once they get the paper right. They ain't got the paper right, they ain't Americans, motherfucker. You ain't American unless you got your fucking paper right. So don't be in here saying you an African American if your visa is canceled and they're looking for you. Fuck that. So yeah, man. This is one of those things. And I said it was about Black liberation, and she actually gets into specifically speaking about women's liberation and really how it kind of tore at the Black family. And it was a unique perspective. I had never seen it like that before. Very unique. What I did get from it, though, was how true it was with the breaking down of the family and expectations for the man, for the woman, or whatever. It was unique, but then again, it wasn't. It was some true shit. And this is 51 years ago. See, a lot of this shit just transcends time. If it's deep enough, the shit will stand the test of time. And Sister Betty's shit has stood the test of time. I done listened to a lot of stuff of hers recently. A lot of it. And shit is still solid for today. I mean, it really is. So I really want to get these last couple clips in here because they're a couple minutes long, and then not really be on here all night. Appreciate the thumbs up on the video. I just clicked back into YouTube. I can see that. Got a couple people watching. Appreciate y'all, whoever that is. You know, I guess this technically wasn't a pop-up. I actually scheduled it. Didn't schedule it too long out. But I'm getting to that point where I'm going to start scheduling. So, you know, those who want to be here will be here. And those who will want to watch, you know, everybody else's live will watch them at that time. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm still just getting my feet wet on this thing. And just now fully committing, you know, to YouTube, because, you know, I'm on a 30-day ban. I believe I'm coming off of it, I think tonight or tomorrow. I can't remember exactly when I stopped checking, you know, because people would ask me, how long you got? 7 days, 8 days, whatever. When I get back in there, probably ain't gonna be in there long. I'll probably get blocked again. I'll probably go against community guidelines just for being here. And I'm gonna start running my shit up the Facebook flag post so much more. They might just be like, well, look at one of his videos. They might just block me from a video. Might not even be from some shit that I text, because that's what I got blocked for last time, was some text dialogue or some crazy shit. I'm like, y'all motherfuckers are something else. So I say this shit, misspell it purposely so you wouldn't catch it, and here you just let the hard ER fly everywhere. Nigga, 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 nigga. They got that video about the girls' basketball team. That's all over Facebook. They motherfucking fucking niggas. He said shit to them motherfuckers. They ain't got blocked on Facebook. Both of their accounts are still active. Both of them. Both announcers that was on that video, their accounts are still active. Facebook didn't block them for saying fucking niggers. didn't block them from shit. Trying to tell you. This is the way it is out here, man. This is the way it is. So, Sister Betty got into talking about women's liberation. I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool the way she just broke it down, got in, got out, and she left her footprint on it, as she always did, you know, as she always did. So I want to do the open, and then I want to come back and say something about what she says in the open, and then I'll do her close, and then that'll be it for Sister Betty. And I got one last thing for her. There was some real shit, because I've been talking on like disrespect, motherfuckers disrespecting you and shit. And who really disrespects you out here? You know, like I said, I can't call it. Somebody disrespect me, and I don't know why. I have no idea why they would want to be disrespectful as much as I would have helped them or helped them, had helped them, any of their people, whatever. But they do. So you be like, man, I can't call. I don't know why that motherfucker did that shit. This is how you don't get disrespected. Sister Betty ends with this shit. So, but here's her open of women's liberation, and we're going to come back and chop it up real quick.
The struggle for liberation is always changing. Most recently, it is the women's liberation movement that has gathered new momentum in this country and abroad. Mrs. Shabazz concludes her lecture with a description of the role of the woman and her contributions towards society.
These are changing times, and nothing remains static. Women were not to appear to be moving and not moving. Everything else, there is a progression. There is some sort of movement in a progressive sense. And why must women remain in the position that they were in? They said women confuse things. Women started working, and this was to undermine the authority of the father. This was taking jobs away from men. But women have made great contributions. And no one looks at the positiveness of the endless hours of energy women have spent in doing something constructive. And everyone is still shifting the blame. The blame is not to be on women. The blame is to be on society as a whole. Men have made a lot of mistakes. Women have made a lot of mistakes. With the change of the monetary economy, with the moving from rural to urban, from the agricultural to the industrial, or to the big city, where you have a great utilization of space, and where it is no longer necessary nowadays for the family to remain together as an economic unit. There have had to be changes. There was not the large family, the mother, the father, the grandmother, and the grandfather, and the great-grandmother, and all of the uncles and the aunts and the cousins all living together, which formed an economic unit. Now, in some cases, it is necessary for the mother to go out to work. That's why it is necessary to have daycare centers, nurseries, schools.
Excuse me. Why that couldn't came out while she was talking. I had to come out right when she killed it. Sorry about that. Nuggets. I mean, just pure nuggets. And like I said, this shit is timeless. It's so today. You just put it in, you just got to spin it into today. Betty Shabazz was way the fuck ahead of her time. Obviously, Malcolm was ahead of his time. Betty was ahead of her time. But goddamn, 51 years ago, she said this. 51 years. So understanding who she was, what she was, speaking on women's liberation and speaking on the change that was going on, you know, and families could be maintained with one parent, with all these, you know, truthfully, it wasn't being maintained. They were being facilitated by some shit. And there was holes in families. There was families that needed those men there. But it was more financially responsible for the man not to be there. And government made sure men weren't in those homes. You break down that family, you break down that structure, And then you're getting ready for the next level. You go from the school to prison pipeline. They knew what was going to happen if they fucked up enough families in the 60s, what was going to go into the 70s, what was going to go into the 80s. And took a couple generations to get the shit right. So the shit that happened in the 60s, say it happened in 1960, 1980, shit happened over again. Year 2000, shit happened over again. Now we 2021, shit needs to happen over again. But it's got to be new. We can't keep the same shit going. It's got to happen over, but it's got to be new. Reason why we're not getting anything right now, we didn't get anything new. Joe's not new. Kamala's not new. She's newer than Joe because she hasn't been around as long, but her beliefs are the same. We got to get her beliefs out of there just like we got to get Joe's beliefs out of there. Until we do that, it doesn't matter. I mean, the Black family structure was torn to shreds systemically. It's because Black women and Black men didn't love each other no more. They want to play that shit up. Now they want to talk about Black Lives Matter wants to kill the Black family. They just don't believe in the nuclear family. They're on some other shit. I don't think they're against Black people having families, but they just don't believe in the nuclear family. They think, you know, and I'm not getting all into that shit tonight. Men and men and women, raising kids and not needing the other and saying the other doesn't matter. I'm not getting all into that bullshit tonight. That's bullshit, because it is. Talked about it before. Go look at the videos. So her clothes on this shit, like I said, it hit home for me. It hit home for me because I lived this. I really did. And my mom never missed a motherfucking beat, so I never worried about shit. I never had to have her calling my father saying, hey, we ain't gonna eat. We gonna send some money up here. She was never on that shit. She was never on no begging shit, which was beautiful. She just went out and got her own. It was like, this motherfucker kick in, he kicks in. He didn't kick in until he had to kick in. So she knew that. She knew that from the get. That's why she did what she did. But I was, you know, I was raised in a lot of the shit that she's talking about as far as women's liberation. The needs for daycares and night cares and, you know, all of those places for kids to go in those younger years before regular school starts. That all came about because of the need, because Black women were leaving the home to work and Black men were not in the house. I mean, shit, started with the wars. It started with prison, mass incarceration. It started with just killing us. I mean, Black men just weren't around. It just wasn't Black men like, oh, all right, we're going to see you later. It's in the 60s. We don't love y'all no more. Bye. I don't want my kids. I don't want my wife no more. Shit was systemic, dog. I don't know why people talk that dumb shit. Shit was systemic. Black men just didn't give up on fucking their family. I hate that dumb shit. I don't even argue those points. All right. So I want to, here's our close on this women's liberation tip. And like I said, I just woven all through this shit.
And sometimes it is a benefit to the mother as well as the child, that your child is in a nursery school. So with this, some women now feel they have lost their femininity because they are now out working. Some of them don't feel needed. They don't feel useful. And there has been a sociological change. The man nor the woman have adjusted to this change. Women feel they are not needed. They sometimes feel they are not loved. But obligation and responsibility and affection is needed in a marriage. But because of the economic situation, it is not necessary to stay together because of money. Affection now seems to be the only thing that holds a marriage together or holds a man to a woman. And when the affection wears thin, the man goes one way and the woman goes another way. And there's the ties between responsibility and obligation, which should be, they're not very strong. So it is not left up to the woman, but it is left up to the man and the woman to try to bring about some solution to this problem. And it is unfair for the men to put the brunt of the problem on the shoulders of poor little women. The role of a woman is whatever her qualifications are and whatever the demands are. The condition and the situation and the needs of the people should define the role of a woman. Malcolm said that in a lot of the countries he visited, one of the things that he began to determine rather quickly, it became a game with him. He would go into a country and he said that he could always tell a country whether women were educated or progressive, and he could always tell a country whether women were pushed in the background because the people were as developed as their women. So that women can and will continue to make a contribution to this society. Not just this society in the United States, but to the world society.
Real shit. Real shit. And women have continued to do what Sister Betty talks about. You know, I mean, they have, you know, she was just strong. She was just strong. And she spoke on this, and I've said it before, obviously already, 51 years ago. And her feelings obviously were like this because she brought in things that Malcolm had said. So 5 years after he's gone, obviously she's still on his energy, but you could tell it was in her as well. It wasn't just, she wasn't just reading his quotes and shit, reading stuff from his books and no. These were her words from her heart. You could hear it in her voice. And what people don't seem to understand is when you take all the fucking layers, all the layers off of this, this is just a Black woman whose husband was murdered by the government. It's a Black woman, a woman of African descent, whose husband was murdered. I mean, he was trolled. They didn't use that word back then, but he was trolled until his death, till the day they lit him up with bullets. He was trolled. He was like in a maze. I mean, the motherfuckers went everywhere, you know, went overseas with him. And he was an activist. Never a holder of any political office of any kind. So never have any governing power. But he was powerful enough to unify Black Americans. And then once he came back from Mecca, then he started to unify white Americans. And they were like, oh, fuck no. This ain't gonna happen. This ain't going on. See, he did it before King did it. When Malcolm came back and he started talking about white Muslims and started talking about, you know, this whole segregation thing, you know, we got to work together. It's like, oh, fuck no. He's been that popular, that powerful with the Nation of Islam. He get over here and gets to talking this shit to regular black and white people? Fuck no. Cut him down. Cut him down. Come on, man. A few years later, King's been talking to the niggas all these years. He was talking to us before Malcolm. When King started talking to the blacks and the white people, gotta go. He's gotta go. They would have been good if Martin Luther King would have just kept having dreams. But when Martin Luther King said, you know what, God damn it, this ain't working. I don't know if he cussed or not. I think he did. I think all the motherfuckers cussed. I mean, look at Kirk Franklin. Kirk Franklin in trouble now because he cussed. What's everybody so up in arms about? Kirk Franklin? He makes hip-hop gospel. You know Kirk Franklin cusses. Look at the clothes Kirk Franklin wears. You know Kirk Franklin cuss. Don't nobody wear clothes like that and don't cuss. Kirk Franklin ain't saved and sanctified. Shit. I don't know why y'all acting like Kirk Franklin can't cuss. Kirk Franklin been cussing. We is just in that sensitive ass time of the world now. And you got these kids who can't take it. So they say so when their parents say something out of pocket and his parents just happen to be fucking Kirk Franklin. That's all that is. Little moist ass boy. You gonna fucking call somebody on your daddy for cussing at you because he Kirk Franklin? Nobody give a fuck about him being on Sunday Best. He's made hip hop gospel for what, 25 years? We know he cuss. Shit. Didn't Kirk have an addiction to porn or some shit? He can have an addiction to porn, but he can't cuss? Come on, man. Y'all need to stop this bullshit. You need to, let me get Sister Betty off here. She don't need to be a part of this no more. Sister Betty don't need to be a part of this no more. This debauchery. Sorry, Sister Betty. Talking about Kirk Franklin. It was his son, right? It was his son, I think, that called on him. I mean, what the fuck, dog? Your son called somebody because you cussed at him? All the lap of luxury you done given to this motherfucker? And he gonna call somebody on your ass? Oh, hell no. I done gave you a first-class life by jumping around on stage, church to church, from here to wherever. Kurt's international. He done been some places. And then you got a kid that'll drop a dime on you like that. My daddy cussed at me. What? But see, that's the crazy shit. That's not newsworthy. If one of my daughters said my daddy cussed at me, they'll be like, oh, what'd you do? Fuck. They're not gonna be like, oh, you should put that shit on Snapchat and let everybody know. Put it on IG Live and shit. Let them know your dad cussed him. They'll be like, so? Cusses at everything. But this motherfucker's son called some, I don't know, who did he call? TMZ? Who wants to know when Kirk Franklin cusses? Who would want to know? TMZ? I mean, you know, Kojic Incorporated? I don't know who wants to know. Sunday Best, you know, BT, I don't know who wants to know. Tyler Perry, I don't know who wants to know that Kirk Franklin cussed. I don't know why it's a newsworthy situation. I don't even know. Why would that be a newsworthy situation? Kirk Franklin cussed. So? Come on, man. That's all you got. Tell us something about your dad. He just recently cussed me, dude. Can't fucking believe it. I mean, what the fuck, man? Kirk Franklin cuss. That's a news story now. That's what we need as news. Come on, man. That's not news. That's crazy shit to me, man. He got he's headlines right now. He's headlines because of this dumb shit. Crazy. But yeah, man, I'm gonna go on and get up out of here. Good discussion with Betty Shabazz tonight. You know, Betty just, like I said, she was a bringer of it. She was a bringer of it, and I've always respected how she, I mean, and she stayed above the fray like all the other wives did. Like I said, they couldn't get married. They couldn't remarry. They married motherfuckers that you just didn't go behind. You didn't go behind and marry nobody else. You know, it's like, I don't think Kobe's wife will ever get married again. You know, I mean, how you gonna come behind the Mamba? Oh man, whatever. But yeah, but she stood tall, man. She stood tall. Many, many years after Malcolm fell. It was a beautiful thing. He's an artist, not a preacher. Even if he was a preacher, though, G, preachers cuss. And yes, he's an artist. He's a character. He's a character. But I don't hold no preachers in there even higher regard, because I know they cuss, I know they drink, I know they smoke. I know they make videos eating cookies. Yeah. Shit. I mean, that was all over everybody's timeline. Motherfuckers that went to church, didn't go to church, Jehovah's Witness, all kinds of people looking at that. Shit. Pastors are different nowadays. Cunnilingus Ministries. Okay. So I want to close with this because I've been talking about disrespect. And disrespect comes from people who are truly not your brethren. Your brethren won't disrespect you. Someone who doesn't see you as a true brother, they find it easier to disrespect you. True brotherhood, because this doesn't always have to do with kinfolk. And speaking of that, did y'all see the motherfuckers? I told you, I'm searching for white supremacy all day. And I'm going to get right back on my point because I'm about to close this shit out. You got to see this shit if you ain't seen it. It's Tariq Nasheed shit. You see that shit on Tariq Nasheed, OG? Man, I'm going to show this shit. I'm going to show the whole fucking video and shit. Hopefully that motherfucker don't call YouTube and shit on me like Tone did BTP. Like, man, that's copyright infringement. I mean, I'm just trying to spread the motherfucking gospel. He put it up. I saved it. I'm going to put it up because I want these motherfuckers to know that we know that they out here. We got some motherfuckers that are against us. Not just white supremacy, tools of white supremacy. I'm going to have to show you this shit. But yeah, we got to get right. And our brothers are people who won't cross us. Our brothers are people who won't disrespect us. This ain't got nothing to do with disagreeing. You're going to disagree with people. That's what makes this world go around. A whole lot of disagreements and agreements. But I'm talking about a motherfucker that will cross you just to save his own ass. He fucked up, but he gonna cross you to save his own ass instead of, you know what? say, hey man, I'm gonna take this L with you. I fucked up, you know, bam, bam, bam. But he gonna save his L on air. That ain't your brother. So before I get into that, I gotta show you this shit, man. I gotta show you this shit, man. Cause this shit, man. This shit, man. It put me in a frame of mind that I was like, okay, I already know who's against us. I've been knowing. And I know for the most part who's for us. But then you would think some would be for us that ain't necessarily from here, but because they benefit from the resources that we produce, they would be for us. That's a Diddy no. This shit blew my mind just seeing this 2-minute long video. I'm gonna get out of here. For anybody that gets highly offended at some of the shit that Tariq Nasheed said, he's not talking in this. I don't personally. I watch him. I didn't like some of the shit that he said before, you know, about hashtag ADOS or ADOS, because, you know, but I knew the banter. I understood, you know, and I've moved past that. My thing now, though, this type of information, I believe this is viable to send out the best way we can. I don't think he'll knock me for it because I'm sending it out and I'm on some real shit. And if he's ever checked out the BlackWatch, which he should have by now, he should have checked out the BlackWatch. He should have known. So I'm going to put this up. When you don't talk on this speaker and shit, you don't send audio through it, the motherfucker will go out and shit. Okay. So, but yeah, check this shit out. This is going to be deep. It's going to be deep if you ain't seen it. If you've already seen it, then just watch it. It's 2 minutes long. Hold on a sec. Okay.
Ancestors come from the Caribbean and there were slaves in the Caribbean. And we,
So yeah, they look like us, but they ain't us. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. This shit is eye-opening like a motherfucker.
ancestors come from the Caribbean and there were slaves in the Caribbean. And we didn't qualify for the American reparations. Well, here's the challenge. There are so many difficulties with trying to enact reparations, in part because the question is who gets them. Potentially, I could fall into that category. I honestly have called a pipe dream in the past, and I think that's what it is.
Well, it would be nice if there was an elegant, simple solution to all sorts of complicated problems. You're not actually talking about how to fix those problems if you're only talking about reparations. If we're only debating how we're going to parcel out responsibility for something that happened more than a century ago. And we're probably never going to do this. It's not clear to me why we're pursuing this thing.
Is it fair that there's no reparations, no restitution, nothing?
Should the Irish get reparations, by the way? Irish need not apply signs when they came here during the progressive era. I mean, how far do we want to take this down? Are we acknowledging that there are ugly spots in history? Because 60% of the world would be entitled to slave reparations if you wanted to play that game.
Well, here's a fact. Slavery ended 154 years ago. It's been a long, long time since we had slavery in this country. And you have people like my family. I'm Black, but my family came to the United States in 1962. My parents are from Costa Rica. Do I get a check?
I did a couple of essay contests that I actually won.
62.
And I won like NAACP AXO award for this essay and something else. I can't remember another, like I ended up winning money. And the essay was, do you think Black people should get reparations? And I was like, no, you didn't work for it.
Why are you so against reparations?
Valerie, it's a matter of a waste of time. We've got so much to do. And yet you have people who invest so much energy and attention on what I consider to be a dead-end idea, a dead-end movement.
If we were to pay reparations today, we would only divide the country further. we would insult many Black Americans by putting a price on the suffering of their ancestors.
Ancestors come from the Caribbean, and there were slaves in the Caribbean, and we didn't qualify for the American reparative. Well,
hold on a second. Let me get rid of that. We don't need to hear it again. Yeah, we didn't need to hear it again. We didn't even need to hear it the first motherfucking time. But goddamn, I had to play that just to show these are people that are on TV, that are on very big platforms, being interviewed over and over, spewing this state. The one was at the judiciary hearing. The one at the end, he was at the judiciary hearing for the first reparations hearing for HR 40. They let him speak. It ain't like these motherfuckers recently, Elder and Walker and Owens. They weren't the first clowns that spoke against reparations in the HR 40 hearing. Clayton Bigsby, whatever that fucking name was, he was Puerto Rican or something. They let him get up there. He's not even fucking ADOF. An American Descendant of Freedmen. He's an immigrant. They let these three motherfuckers who are descendants of freedmen get up there and denounce reparations, but they let an immigrant denounce reparations in the first one. So I thought that was even worse than these three clowns, because these are three clowns that, you know what? They're ours. We got to accept them. But we got a fucking immigrant, though, doing the shit in the first hearing. That was him. That was him in the first fucking hearing. So draining to know that who's supposed to be on our side because they came here because of us. Because if no us, you don't come here, motherfucker. One motherfucker said his family didn't come here till 1962. Well, if there hadn't been no civil rights going on, your ass wouldn't have got in, motherfucker. Yeah, if you would have got in, you'd have ran back home and like, whoa, it's fucked up over here too. You ran from a territory because you couldn't succeed. And you came over here for the land of milk and honey. I don't even want to hear that shit. Am I supposed to get a check? No, bitch, you don't get no check. You ain't ADOF. You ain't ADOS. You ain't ADOF. You ain't ADO shit. You came over here in 62. Resident. Occupant. You might be a citizen, but you're only a citizen because your paperwork. You ain't a citizen because your family's bones is buried here. You only been here 60 years. Is your mammy and your daddy dead? Because I know everybody else is over there back in the old country, in the motherland. If you only been here since 62, that means your family came here. You ain't that old, so you only been here since 62. That's when your mama and daddy got here, and they had you. They probably still living. But they mamas and daddies is over there, buried over there in the dirt over there. So get your ass on back over there. Now you don't get a check, bitch. Hate that shit. Well, I get a check? Nah, motherfucker. You got over here in 62. Motown Records had just started. You barely here longer than Motown Records. Fuck out of here. So yeah, let me hit you off with this last Betty. And she talks about basically what I've been saying. A true brother is somebody who does not cross you. And there's some other things with it. So yeah, Betty Shabazz closing out the BlackWatch. Guess this was a Sunday service. I didn't call it that. I just called it Black Liberation with Betty Shabazz. Maybe I'll throw the Sunday service on it so people understand it. I am doing one of these. I think I did a couple other videos earlier. I did do a couple of other videos earlier. I didn't think. I think I uploaded them late and shit. I don't be uploading my shit that quick the way I used to. I got other shit to do, man. But I'll get it out there. So yeah, this is Betty closing it out, talking about a true brother. A true brother.
I'll close with a quote from Malcolm, and he was saying one of the greatest blessings a man can have is a true brother. a true friend. When we want for our brother the same thing we want for ourselves, the well-being of our brother becomes our well-being. His security becomes our security. His happiness becomes our happiness. But also his pain and his sorrow becomes our pain and our sorrow. His problem becomes our problem. As brothers, if we live up to that, and that, sisters, is involved, perhaps the world wouldn't be in the predicament that it's in. Thank you.
She was strong, man. She was strong. If we had some of them on the front lines right now, we'd be able to do some things. It's hard to find somebody that strong, man. It's hard. But I appreciate anybody that's going to check this video out. The BlackWatch is different. I get it. It may not be your cup of tea. I don't even know if it's my cup of tea, motherfucker, and I'm the producer of it. But I don't spit no bullshit up here. I'm always for the betterment of my people, but ain't nobody above reproach. And if you fucked up out here, I'm going to call it. I'm going to call you. I'm going to call your organization. If you got one, if you're a part of one, I'm going to call anybody you connected to if you out here doing some fucked up shit. Because I'm a black man. And I watch shit. One love.